So I'm recording this video with my associate producer, Adam Leffert, and then also my Zumba instructor friend, Jorge, because all three of us, plus Jorge's daughter, Isabella, who's only 12 years old, to go check out this show, Plata Quemada. Did I say it right?
Plata Quemada.
All right. Thank you for that. And we're very lucky because Arts Emerson literally, as of today, canceled not only the rest of the shows, but also the other ones coming up. I am really curious to kind of hear your feedback. You know, there isn't much to give away from the show, but from each of you, we'll start with Jorge. What are your thoughts, like, that immediately comes to mind after or during seeing the show?
Yeah, thank you. So it was very, first of all, very emotional to watch this, terrific piece of work that they put together, and in Spanish. I think that was great. I think they did a great production with the subtitles. I was listening and reading to the subtitles, and everything was right on. So it was well done, and it was transmitting the passion, that these four guys put into it. Very, very, very talented artists, and I really enjoyed it. I think they have a great concept, the way they manage the animation and give it a different perspective, make you feel like you were really zooming in and out, up and down the room. So it gets you a different engagement than the typical play that you go and see. So it was very good. It was very for my daughter, which is into drama, as you guys know. It was super cool. She was super excited to see, and it's something that she never experienced. And to see that the four guys can perform for 2 hours nonstop is just crazy.
Physically.
a lot of work. So very happy for those guys that they were able to have that great show. I know that they had some bumps on the road with the with their initial tour, but glad we just had the opportunity to be present for this one. Thank you.
Nice. What about you, Adam?
So much to see and take in, and only a few minutes to discuss it. I think for me, it was extremely immersive, extremely emotional, and really physical. If anyone would just go on the web and see a few stills or pictures from the show, they'll see how the lighting and physicality of the actors was used. But right from the beginning, everything is sort of skew, kind of on an angle, almost like on a 45-degree angle. And at the same time that the people in the show were relaxing, they were also tense. They were also engaged and very sort of charged. And just to say that, sort of like with Detroit Red, another Arts Emerson production that we saw, as a kid, you say, oh, this is a bank robber, this is a bad guy. Very simplistic, very, yes or no. But get into it, you realize these are people, these are humans, and they have choices, and none of the choices are good. In the moment, whether it's how to get into the robbery, how to get out of the robbery, how to continue and fight forward, that while moving through their plan and through the execution of it without giving anything in away, to retain their individuality or find some redemption or express themselves. Just very, very gristly, very physical, emotional, and spiritual. And also ideological in the end.
Yeah, for me, I feel like there's something very bold about the way that Arts Emerson executed and really funded this act as well, because it's completely based in Spanish, which for a town such as Boston, I mean, I feel like we're very involved and we have a lot of friends that shares that diversity. But for me to think about sitting there and realize that most of the people among the audience probably aren't Hispanic or Latino, but they were very engaged. Most people I paid attention that they were reading the subtitles, and it's very tiring, but it just feels very inclusive, like, for the audience, and it's very daring for them to kind of put up a show like that. So I was kind of curious to hear from Jorge, that did it make a big difference for you to be able to watch it without the subtitle? How much was the percentage of that you felt comfortable understanding from the show?
Yeah, like I said, I was actually checking the subtitles just because they're from a different region in South America. So there's different words for certain things. So it wasn't really tiring, because as an immigrant, I grew up watching movies with the subtitles. So I
So
think
true.
we train our brains to operate differently. Maybe this question is more for Adam. Is like how did he feel by having to read subtitles during a play? So I think this is more like a first time experience for him in a live setting. I would assume. I don't know.
So as for the subtitles, yes, for the first maybe 5 or 10 minutes, it was a little confusing because so I think they may be called super titles. They were up at the top, I guess, to make sure that everybody could see them. And maybe I know 20 Spanish words, so certainly nowhere near able to understand what's going on, even though maybe by the end I feel like I did. You sort of start to associate. So yeah, after the first 10 minutes, it was maybe a 5 or 10% distraction, but the show is again so physical, so visual, and so physically expressive, almost acrobatic, that there's more than enough clarity as to what's going on with the way people speak and the way they interact with each other. So it was a thing, but it wasn't a majority of it.
Yeah.
And then to hear it in their own words, to feel it in their own feelings.
Yeah, definitely. I won't lie. The show definitely felt longer to me. I think it was close to 2 hours, and but I realized like how much I appreciate Arts Emerson for giving us the opportunity and put together their 10-year celebration and putting such a big variety of shows for us to enjoy. And I can't even pinpoint two shows that felt remotely the same. And it was just has been a fantastic season. I think I'm so happy to be able to record this and share our feedback because that was literally the last show that played before we're hit by the epidemic of coronavirus, and a lot of shows are stopped, not just for them, but for Cirque du Soleil, for a lot of theaters near us and afar. So my heart goes out to all of them. So before we close, is there anything else that you guys want to add to this review and kind of just overall your feeling and reflections?
A play based on actual facts. I think they manage it pretty well, very close to the book that documented all these situations back in the 60s. So I think they adapted really, really well without forgetting the main details, and they really use all the different techniques, animation and sound, and the dynamics that they use in the stage to transmit that passion and as realistic as possible on the event. So pretty cool, and take off
Yay.
my hat for that for sure. I readily take my hat off, but when I do, because they deserve it.
Important hat. And for me, when you're watching the play and you're thinking, oh, these are actors, these are people, and then for a while you're lost in their world and you're a little bit back to them being actors. I think the physical difficulty for me of what the actors did, vocally, physically, as an ensemble, made the difficulty of those people's lives, the actual people that you imagine maybe being them. So those things sort of washed over each other. I was like, how can these guys do this? How can these actors do this for 2 hours? Then you're thinking, well, how can those people do this with the abuse
for
they
their
suffered
lifetime.
and the trauma, and then their goals and dreams and being typed into a certain personality that people think they are. So just to say those two things kind of worked back and forth on each other. Had somebody just sit and stayed and just said stuff, I think it would have sold it short. But somehow the what I would imagine be the difficulty of performing the play and the difficulty of being those people kind of became one thing.
Yeah. And then I love the three parallels of the four guys acting as, I guess they're known as the criminals. And then the four guys acted as police officers. And then the four of them act as they are designing the show, like to say where does everything. So they're like, each one of them played at least three roles, which I thought was really fascinating. So, all right. On that note, thank you guys for joining me for this. It's very special. Yay.
Thanks for having us here.
Thank you.